Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is said to have many different twists and turns, as well as surprises in this story that'll make us look back at both The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens in a totally different way by director J.J. Abrams. This is Mike Zero. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. So one aspect of Episode 9 that a lot of fans are really looking forward to is, of course, Jedi and Sith lore and exactly how that's going to be utilized into the story in order to really benefit the characters of both Kylo Ren and Rey. After all, we do know that JJ and Chris Terrio are going to be introducing a lot of new Jedi, Sith, and Force lore into Star Wars Episode 9 in order to make it connect to not only Legends, but also the existing canon that falls under the Disney Star Wars universe. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film, and when it all comes down to one of the concept art descriptions, this is where things begin to get very exciting for Episode 9. Now, specifically, a description of Rey traveling into the Lost City, where it's described that she is entering the Land of Warriors, a location full of ancient and recent Jedi statues and structures. It said that Rey is on a mission to discover as much Jedi lore as possible during her time in here, where it said that she eventually comes across the statue of Ahsoka Tano, which stands around 50 feet high. The base of the statue includes a piece of stone that opens like a door, which contains many of Ahsoka's belongings and personal items. One of the relics stored within the statue includes a ring that once belonged to the first Jedi that Ahsoka Tano discovered many years ago, that allowed her to see certain points of the future, however not the full picture. It's described that the ring of the first Jedi is what allowed him to see the wrong ways of building an order, and Ahsoka kept this stored within her statue that was sculpted by the lore keepers while they were still alive in the Lost City. The ring is said to have a gold ring with a large white crystal on top of it that may or may not be a kyber crystal type of material. The crystal is described to glow in a white light once a Force sensitive wears it who is strong with the Force. The ring is not only what allows one to see pieces of the future, but it also made one more powerful within the Force itself. So let's go over a couple of parts about this. Now, we do know that J.J. Abrams and Chris are really trying their very best in order to explain a lot of new Jedi and Sith lore that fans have never seen before. Now, this leads me to believe, alright, that maybe there is something more to the story with Supreme Leader Snoke's ring. You know, a lot of people have always been wondering for the longest time, what was the deal with Supreme Leader Snoke's ring and why was he wearing that? And now in this scenario, Ahsoka Tano kept a big secret stored within her statue, which was, of course, a ring that once belonged to the first Jedi. And this ring was actually described to be gold with a white crystal on top of it. Now, that crystal could have very well been a kyber crystal or a different type of kyber crystal that we have never seen before in the Star Wars franchise, as of yet. Now, what I like about this is that this basically not only taps into lore of the first Jedi, but it also unveils about what Ahsoka Tano actually went through in between the events of the originals and the sequels, and that's exactly the territory that J.J. Abrams wants to really dive more into in The Rise of Skywalker. After all, we do know that a lot of the flashbacks that are going to be used in Episode 9 are actually going to be based within that unexplained era of the Star Wars universe, which is, of course, the years set in between the original and the sequel trilogy. So what I like about this is that a lot of people have always been wondering more and more about Ahsoka Tano and exactly where she stands after the events of Rebels Season 4. You know, yes, we do know that we're getting more Ahsoka Tano in the Clone Wars Season 7, but a lot of people want to know exactly what happened in between the events of the originals and the sequels and closer to the sequel trilogy era. So it makes one wonder exactly how she came across the first Jedi ring. This first Jedi ring is basically what allowed her to see certain elements of the future and, of course, become more powerful within the Force itself until she was able to put this away and lock it away in the Lost City, where the lore keepers were the ones who sculpted the Ahsoka Tano statue. So I want to touch on the lore keepers for a couple of minutes here. Now, the lore keepers are basically like the caretakers on Octu, right? The lore keepers are these individuals, these species, or whatever have you, that were protecting the Lost City, which, by the way, is a place full of Jedi and Sith ruins underneath some unknown world that we have never been introduced to as of yet in the Star Wars franchise. And with that being said, guys, like I said, we do know that JJ really wants to introduce a lot of Jedi and Sith lore in order to expand the Star Wars franchise. This way, you know, future films and future television series or comics and books and novels, whatever have you, can really expand off of what J.J. Abrams is about to introduce in The Rise of Skywalker, which to me, that really sounds like it's a very big, ambitious move by JJ in order to make the Star Wars universe bigger and more magical. And I think at the end of the day, that's exactly, you know, what Disney and Lucasfilm are trying to do with Episode 9. Now, do I have an issue with The Last Jedi? Absolutely. But I really do have my fingers crossed for Episode 9 so far, as everything is starting to sound very, very good for this movie. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to